Welcome back to the Junkie Sports Podcast today. We're going to start off with our game today, kind of switch it up a little bit. All right, guys, so how this game's going to work, there's kind of two different major rounds, I guess, of the game. The first one is going to be who would you rather start your franchise with. So I'm going to give you two players, and you got to pick who would you rather start your franchise with, and you're going to be predicting out their career. So it's not just how good they are right now or their team necessarily. It's how good do you sort of think that player is going to be in the long run? Who do you want as the star player for your franchise? You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. So the first two players we got are Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young.
I'd say Trae Young. Just because his numbers this year have been absolutely absurd for a second-year player. And I know Donovan Mitchell was a first-time All-Star this season. So is Trae Young, and he was even younger. So, I think he's shown a lot more upside than Donovan Mitchell. Not saying Donovan Mitchell's a bad choice by any means, but you know what you're getting with Trae Young every night, and that's like close to 30 points and around 10 assists a night. So I go with Trae Young.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have to agree with Ben on this one. I think it's pretty straightforward because Trae Young, obviously, he's a young player putting up ridiculous numbers for a hurting Hawks team that hopefully I think this offseason are going to be looking to put a couple pieces around Trae Young and surround him and, be vying for the playoffs here come next year. But putting up almost 30 points, 9 assists, and shooting very efficiently. You can teach defense eventually. So I think, within that mold, Trae Young is someone in terms of longevity that will serve out, very well. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's a bad pick. I just think he's, always going to be an above average. We'll see if he can make the next jump and be a superstar. Like I think that ceiling with Trae Young is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I agree.
All right. So we got a consensus on the first one.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in that.
Oh, go ahead.
There's also a starter in the All-Star game this year, which is huge for second-year player. The only other person was Luka. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. All right, so here in the second round, we've got two centers. One of them's got a little bit more of a defensive side to him. The other one's a little bit more offensive. So we have Bam Adebayo and Karl Anthony Towns.
And this is
this is all still who you want to build your franchise with.
Okay.
Who's your franchise cornerstone player?
For me, I'll go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo. I know right now, obviously, Karl Anthony Towns, is a little bit more seasoned and polished in terms of his NBA experience. However, I think Bam Adebayo obviously has made a huge improvement from last season to this season. I think has shown that he can be an elite player and passer and playmaker as well. He has elite defensive upside. And so, there's some things that he can work on. But overall, I think, Karl Anthony Towns, until he proves to me that he can help lead the Timberwolves to be in playoff contention year in, year out, or, carry his team wherever he is over the hump one day. I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo. I just think the upside's there, and I want to see I'm excited to see his career play out. What about you guys?
I personally would say Karl Anthony Towns because that's kind of what he's doing right now. In Miami, it's the Jimmy Butler show with, Bam Adebayo, and because he's playing phenomenal this season. But, as bad as Minnesota is this season, Karl Anthony Towns is the man up there alongside with D'Angelo Russell now.
I guess the question is, though, do you want to settle? Because if you're saying that's the mold essentially that the Timberwolves are already, starting their franchise around Karl Anthony Towns, and that's, their cornerstone piece. Well, it hasn't really worked out too well from them. And I think, yes, right now it's Jimmy Butler's team, but at the same time, I think kind of like Giannis and Chris Middleton, how Chris Middleton's a very, very good second fiddle. I think Bam Adebayo is kind of in the same conversation, the line of thought. And I just think right now, if he is given more responsibility and has talent around him, I think at the end of the day, Bam, has had more success at a younger age. And so I guess we'll see kind of where it goes from there.
Well, I would say that, Bam Adebayo's personality almost isn't fit to be the big man in the franchise. I think Karl Anthony Towns is used to it at this point, so he knows what he has to put in every day. Bam Adebayo has been told what to do by Jimmy Butler pretty much all season. So, he's not going to have that when he's, starting his own franchise. So that's why I would say I'd take Karl Anthony Towns.
Right.
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to two different kinds of play styles, because I think a big part of Karl Anthony Towns' game is kind of just the situations he's in because of with the T-Wolves. And I think his past history with Jimmy Butler really shines a negative light on him. But at the end of the day, I think you can't really go wrong with either one of them. I think they're both great centers. They're both going to be great players for years to come. So let's go ahead and hop into our next round. So which player do you want as your franchise cornerstone? Would you rather have Jaren Jackson Jr. or Jonathan Isaac?
I'm going to go this one's actually pretty easy for me. I'm going to go with Jonathan Isaac. For me, I personally have always had a bigger appreciation for really good two-way players. Jonathan Isaac is obviously extremely athletic, great on-ball defender, and can read passing lanes very well. He's young and has had injury problems, which would be my biggest concern with him at this point in terms of having him be the cornerstone. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. might be a safer pick right now because of that unknown. However, I don't think we can argue that Jonathan Isaac, if he puts together a healthy, solid season, he'll be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, and I don't think that's anything to bat your eyes with. I just think, he brings a lot to the team, and I think, defense wins championships at the end of the day, and so he's one good, cog that could be in my franchise's system one day.
I'm going to say Jaren Jackson just because I have not heard anything about Jonathan Isaac, honestly. He just hasn't been,
That's shocking to me.
I haven't heard squat about him, really, because, it's the Magic.
That's a fair point, but I don't know. Jonathan Isaac was, in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year before he got injured early on, so I don't know. I think Jonathan – I'll let you continue, Ben, but – just one quick thing. I think Jonathan Isaac has the defensive upside, whereas I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has the offensive upside. It's kind of similar to the last round with Cat and Bam. I just think it's kind of a which do you value more, and which part of the game do you think that player can improve on the most? Because especially with Jaren Jackson Jr., I believe he leads the league in the most fouls. He fouls out. I think he averages 4 fouls a game. It's something absurd.
Wow.
He's so offensively polished, though, compared to Jonathan Isaac. So it's kind of just torn around with, where do you think that player can improve on? But go ahead, Ben. I'll let you continue. Sorry for cutting you off there.
But, yeah, no, today's a scoring game first. No, defense, you need defense, of course. Don't get me wrong, but it's a score-first game. So with that respect, I'd take Jaren Jackson before I'd take Jonathan Isaac.
I definitely don't think it's by chance that, most of the top teams in the league right now have some of the best defensive players. I think it's important if you want to be, a powerhouse NBA team right now, that you have some players on your roster that are, some of the most elite defenders. And I think John Isaac is right in that conversation. But, I definitely like Jaren Jackson Jr. and his upside. So I see where you're coming from, Ben.
Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and go into our next round. So continuing with our franchise cornerstone theme, who would you rather have, Jamal Murray or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
I'd say Shai. He's been playing really well this season. And I think he's capable of playing like this every season. I don't know about Jamal Murray. He showed up last year when it really counted in the playoffs, but this season he really has been just very streaky, and he hasn't been very consistent at all. So I would much rather take the consistency with Shai.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one, Ben. I think Shea right now obviously is an extremely young, talented player with that has elevated his game tremendously this season alone, and has shown that alongside some of those other elite guards that Oklahoma City have, he can be right there amongst the best of them in the league and definitely hang. And so I'm gonna definitely I like what you said about Shea, and I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so
What do
let's
you
go ahead.
think, Teddy?
I would probably say Shea as well. I think Jamal Murray is a better shooter than Shea. I just think with
Yeah.
I think SGA's ability to get to the rim, he's such a smooth, polished scorer, and being able to work under Billy Donovan as a coach and working with Chris Paul, I just think he's going to be able to improve so much for years to come, and he's going to eventually become like that cornerstone for the Thunder. I think he's a
Yeah.
really good fit there. I completely agree with you guys. So let's go ahead and move
Nice.
into the next round. This is our last round for the franchise cornerstone sort of side of the game. So who would you rather have as your franchise player, Ja Morant or Jason Tatum? This is a tough one.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum on this one, and here's a couple key reasons. So Ja Morant, obviously, right now, I mean, obviously he just is in his rookie campaign, but he struggled from behind the three. I know that's something that he'll continue to work upon and will hopefully improve upon in seasons to come. But right now, Jason Tatum is no joke, one of the top 10 players in this league, debatably. He was on a tear before the season came to a halt and was, the NBA's player of the month. Right now, Jason Tatum has a lot of good pieces around him. And although Ja has, shown that he's, capable of putting a team on his back and, being that franchise player that it looks like the Grizzlies have, obtained, I think Jason Tatum is the same deal for the Celtics, although I think just right now from a franchise perspective, the Celtics have been able to put more integral pieces around Jason Tatum, and they've already built a cornerstone. They've used him as a cornerstone and have created a really, really good competitive team year in, year out in the East, and Jason Tatum's the reason why.
Yeah, this is a really tough one for me because they're both such fearless players. I mean, and so young too. They're willing to do anything to help their team win. However, I'm going to say Ja Morant for the same reason I said Karl Anthony Towns earlier, just because, quite frankly, of experience. I mean, like you said, Jason Tatum has so many different pieces around him in Boston. Kemba Walker is debatably the man of the show there. And then along with, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward. I think I'm missing some people. But anywho, Memphis, it's the Ja Morant show with, Jaren Jackson. So I'd take his because Ja Morant knows what he's like getting into as a franchise player. So that's why I'd take him.
Yeah, just to put in my input, I think they're both excellent players. I think you honestly can't go wrong with either one of them. I personally, I'm gonna have to side with Davis here. I think I would take Jason Tatum as well. I just think in this league to be an excellent player, I mean, it's a guard and forward driven league, but I think Jason Tatum's ability on both ends of the court, his offensive package right now is just so polished, and he's only continuing to grow. I really think Jason Tatum's going to become like a multiple MVP winner in this league. I just have to go with Jason Tatum. I think Ja Morant brings a lot of things offensively as well with his explosiveness, his ability to bring in and involve his teammates. I just think Jason Tatum just brings in a little bit more, especially on the defensive end because of his length. I would take Jason Tatum here, but you honestly can't go wrong with either one of them.
I did want to mention something though. Obviously Jason Tatum was having a spectacular season before the season got suspended, but what if that? And I don't think this is true, but it's always a possibility. What if that was the best we'd ever see of Jason Tatum, and he can never really get back to that? So for that, I'd say like I know for a fact Ja Morant can get better. I mean, he's only a rookie. Jason Tatum's in his third or fourth season, so I mean he knows what he needs to do in the NBA. So I mean he could have just peaked right then, and that's about as good as you're going to get from him, which is very good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Ja Morant has a lot more ceiling to grow into.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I just think where I can see Jason Tatum growing, especially, is involving his teammates, which is where Summer John Morant already excels in. I think Jason
Yeah.
Tatum offensively is someone that can he'll win multiple scoring titles. Like I'm not even kidding. He's absolutely
Yeah.
going to do that. I just think that's an area. It's kind of similar to Kawhi, where Kawhi is trying to expand on his assists. I think that's somewhere where Jason Tatum can kind of improve. But like I don't know. I mean, as you said, like if the best he ever is what he was in that month of February before the whole season shut down, I have no complaints. I mean, that's MVP caliber basketball right
Yeah.
there.
My question for you, Ben, is do you think John Morant's ceiling can be higher than
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
a notch
For
above
sure.
where Jason Tatum was playing in February?
Yeah, because Jason Tatum only did that for a month. Like,
No,
I think
I'm saying because right now Jason Tatum has at least showed what his current ceiling is, and I'm just curious if you think John Morant's like upside within the next year or two is in the same conversation as that month-long stretch that we saw from him. Because I think Jason Tatum will continue to improve from where he was at. I don't know if it's going to be the same ridiculous numbers from February, but I mean, I think he's young and he's improved different areas of his game over each offseason so far. And, he has a really good mindset and approach to the game. He has a killer mentality in him. So I don't really see him slowing down his growth, but I don't know. I just don't see John Morant's current ceiling being anywhere in the same conversation as Jason Tatum. And so that's kind of what appeals J-Tay to me.
Well, I think just because also Jason Tatum has been in the spotlight for a lot more time. I mean, he played at Duke, and then he led the Celtics the last couple seasons. But John Morant has only been on the scene for maybe like a year and a half now, and he's just been sensational. So I really don't think. Well, I don't. I think his ceiling is possibly James Harden, like not scoring, like not all scoring wise, but like his impact on the game. You know what I mean? Because obviously Harden goes out there and scores 30 points a game, but I think Ja can go out there, score 25 to 27 and dish out like 9-10 assists a game potentially. I'm not saying right now, of course, but in his future.
I would agree with you on that, Ben. I think you hit it right on the mark where his ceiling is that 25 to 27 points, 9 to 10 assists. To me, I think Jason Tatum's ceiling is 30 points a game, 8 boards. I mean, and like a steal and a half. Like I just think Jason Tatum's ceiling is just a little bit higher than John Morant's, and we've kind of already seen that. I think Jason Tatum's going to average that for a whole season, honestly. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. So that's the end of that side of the game. Let's go ahead and take our first break.
It's 2020. I'm sure you've thought about making a podcast before. So how do you do it? Well, let me tell you, the easiest way is to use Anchor. That's how we've done it here at Junkie Sports Media. It's real simple. Just download Anchor and you'll be able to record your episodes. They have a big library of sounds that you can use, and they'll take care of the monetization and distribution for you. So just go ahead and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right, we're back from our break. We're going to go ahead and hop into the main portion of our segment for today. So what we're going to do today is we are going to collectively make an All-NBA first, second, and third team. And so we're going to kind of like debate and work together on that to fill out those rosters. So let's go ahead and start with the All-NBA first team. I say we start at the forwards because those might be pretty straightforward. Giannis, absolutely. I think you guys can agree with that. Absolutely.
Yep. No debate.
And then I've got LeBron as my other forward. I think you guys have that as well.
Again, no debate.
Yeah.
The king.
Davis, agreed?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and move into the center position next. I have Anthony Davis as the center on the first team.
Anthony Davis.
Who do you guys have?
I have Anthony Davis there as well.
All right. I have Nikola Jokic.
Interesting.
I like it.
I like it. I just think AD's had a better season statistically, points-wise, defense-wise. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I have him in a different position.
You have him at forward.
I have him at forward. I have him later. I have him
I know he's going to cut your second team with Kawhi. I'm calling.
Yo, yeah. Yeah, there's no secret there. But, yeah, I think Nikola Jokic, he played as a center. This whole season, he's been phenomenal. So I think that he should be considered the actual center.
I just think with how the listing, because you can put AD as a center, I just think if you compare the two players, AD's definitely had a better season. Even though AD's definitely probably played more of a forward position, because I can put him at center, I'm going to, because it just works better. And I think AD deserves the first team All-NBA selection. Just with his stat line he put up this year, I just think he's done an absolutely fantastic job. So,
and I will say, I think these are 5 of the 6 best players in the league. I will say Kawhi is only not on here because Giannis and LeBron both fill up that forward spot. But
right, absolutely,
is one of the top 5 players in this league. So I didn't want to. I just wanted to make sure that was thrown out there.
Yeah.
So are we all cool with Anthony Davis as the center there then? I think Jokic definitely has a good case for it just because he technically plays center. I just think Anthony Davis, because I can put him there. He played better throughout the year. I think.
I like Anthony Davis for sure.
Yeah, you go with that, Ben?
I guess so. That'll just mess up the rest of my centers for the rest of the episode.
Hey, we're just trying to come up with a list together.
That's true.
No, I know.
All right, so let's go ahead and move to the guards. Ben, who do you got?
Luka Doncic. I don't really think there should be much of a debate on that one. And then I also have James Harden.
Yep, those are mine too.
Perfect.
Yep. All right, we're in consensus.
So first team All-NBA, almost a consensus. Almost a consensus.
Right.
So.
And I understand if I didn't have Anthony Davis as a center, we'll get into it with second team, but that's where I have Jokic.
I do as well. Let's go ahead and hop into that. I got Jokic as center on the second team as well.
All right. I like it.
So I guess he will probably be moved to third team. I had Joel Embiid.
Yep, he's my third team. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm okay with Jokic assuming that position.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and move into the forwards. Ben, who do you have?
Who did I have? I had Anthony Davis, but also I had Kawhi Leonard. So.
All right. And Davis, who do you have? Because I guess I probably should ask Davis first just because of AD, that whole position situation.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so for the forwards for the second team, I have Kawhi as well, along with Jimmy Butler, actually. So,
okay, yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler is right here. Right now, one of the best forwards in the league, obviously. And I think the success that the Heat have had, obviously, when we were talking about Bam earlier, we were saying how, it's a Jimmy Butler-led team. And, I think his gameplay, his personality, his culture fit so well with the Miami organization. It's really been able to help elevate his game to help better the team overall. And obviously, I really value two-way players. Jimmy Butler is one of the best perimeter defense players and able to shut down the opponent's, number one scoring option night in, night out, and really has the tenacity and has delivered on the season. I think it needs to be given some recognition.
Yeah, so I had Kawhi Leonard, so all three of us are in consensus there. I like the Jimmy Butler selection. I went with Pascal Siakam. I kind of toyed around with Siakam and Jimmy Butler on that second team for a while. I ended up going with Siakam just because I think the Toronto Raptors don't get the name recognition they deserve. I think he's just put up a little bit of a better season, both defensively and offensively. Siakam's averaging about 23 and a half points per game, leading the Raptors to that second seed in the East. I think what he's doing up there in Toronto after they just lost Kawhi, I think that's pretty incredible. And I know a lot of that has to do with his teammates as well. But Siakam's the best player on that team by far. I just think he's had an incredible season, very slept on throughout this year. I love the Jimmy Butler pick as well. He's on my third team, actually. But I really think Siakam's had a great year. I think he deserves that. I think he nudged out Jimmy Butler slightly for that second team.
It was hard for me. I actually ended up leaving Pascal Siakam off all three of my teams.
Wow.
I did as well.
Wow.
So I mean,
So for that, I'm not going to say Pascal Siakam. I'm going to go Jimmy Butler. He was my pick. He's my first forward on my third team. So I probably would have picked him if I had to for this. So yeah, I completely agree with Davis on this one.
So are we good to do Jimmy Butler then for this, David?
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm curious, why did you guys not? And I guess we can get into more on the third team, but I'm kind of curious why you guys don't even include Siakam like at all on any of your lists. I know Davis, you're about to get into that, but
yeah, for me, I think we'll just hold off on that conversation because I think the two forwards that I selected for my third team, I think I just have a case for them over Pascal, even though Pascal came off with if you would have told me in December that Pascal Siakam wouldn't be on my, any of my all NBA teams the way he was playing, I would have told you you're freaking a lunatic. But I mean, he did slow down before the season was coming into an end, and I would not say that Pascal Siakam is, as you said, David, by far the best player on the Raptors this season. Which I think Kyle Lowry has, every right to be in the same conversation for these all NBA teams.
I disagree completely.
Okay, but so yeah, I mean, I want to reveal my third team.
Let's do the guards first for second team.
Yeah, for sure. So after I had Lillard and Chris Paul. Let's hear who
Okay. I had Lillard as well. I really wanted to put Lillard on my first team, but there's just no way I could with Harden and Luka. So I put Lillard, and then I put Russell Westbrook. Or no, I did put Chris Paul. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I had the same.
Sweet, good stuff. Okay.
I had Lillard, so we're consensus there, so we can go ahead and toss Lillard on our All-NBA second team. I had Trae Young. I think Chris Paul is highly impactful for his team, but let me make this case for Trae Young. What I don't get is how people sleep on Trae Young so much. He is top 5 in the league in points, top 5 in the league in assists. I understand his team is awful. They absolutely suck. But All-NBA recognizes players for their individual performance throughout the year. And individually, there's no way in the world you can tell me that Trae Young did not have a better individual season than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is highly impactful for the Thunder. I completely agree. He's very valuable for that team and contributes to their success. Trae Young does not impact his team's success as much as I think Chris Paul does, which is evident in the fact that the Thunder are at 5th in the West. But Trae Young, individually and statistically wise, compared to Chris Paul, they're not even in the same ballpark. I think I don't know. I don't like. I think it's outrageous to leave Trae Young off of any of these lists, let alone not the second team.
There's a problem with your line of thinking, and I don't think you're incorporating the mental aspect as being part of being a basketball player. In terms of the leadership that Chris Paul brings to that Oklahoma City team, and what he's been able to do with a team that wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs, and here they are flirting for the 3 seed out west. Obviously, he's a way better defender, and that's also another thing that comes with the mental aspect of being an NBA player, and he's lethal from those elbow shots.
Do you think the mental aspect of Chris Paul makes up the difference in 12 points per game between the two? Not a chance.
I think so. When you look at
Chris Paul averages 17 points
anywhere
a game.
In this league if you don't win.
17 points a game. Chris
He
Paul
is the best
averages, but All NBA doesn't factor in winning. All NBA factors individual performance, and that's why I took Trae Young, because Trae Young averages 12 points more a game. He averages I think 9 assists a game. I mean, I understand that Chris Paul, I completely agree with you guys. Chris Paul is way more impactful for winning. He's very valuable to his team, but individually wise, for their performance throughout the season, Trae Young. I mean, there's a reason why Trae Young was he's a starter on the All-Star team for the East. I think Trae Young put up unbelievable stats. I understand a lot of that has to do with he has the green light for his team. He kind of gets to just shoot and does what he wants on that team. But at the same time, he is literally averaging 30 points a game. That's unreal.
He does zero, and he does nothing on defense.
He averages a steal.
Does that not matter at all to you, David?
I think defense matters, but I don't think it's the biggest factor to an NBA player's success.
They are
no
one
way
game
in the world
ahead
is
of the Cleveland
defense and
Cavaliers.
offense are not 50-50 for awards in the NBA. They're not. They're really not. I think defense is a factor. I think.
No, but if I'm coming up with my awards, and that's what we're doing right here, I'm going to award defense because I love players that have that defensive tenacity and knack.
And I like players that average 12 more points per game than the player that's getting put in front of them.
I like the player
12 points a game. 12 points a game. That's a whole nother player.
It doesn't even
win you games. That doesn't mean you can.
But to me, all NBA should not have to factor in whether or not your team's success. It shouldn't matter. It matters how your individual performance is.
No, it's not like the team is like slightly below 500. They are 20 and 47.
You can't fault Trae Young for how bad his team is.
If he was second team worthy, they would have a lot more wins than that.
I
disagree. I don't think you can fault Trae Young for how bad his team is.
I think you 100% can because he doesn't play defense.
The Atlanta Hawks.
So do you think if Trae Young played defense, they'd be in the playoffs? Not a chance. Their team is awful.
10, 12 more wins.
Their team is awful. There's no way they'd make the East no matter how much defense Trae Young played.
Yeah, it does because they play so many. They lose so many close games that if he made one stop, that's a game. Like that's a win.
No, dude, I'm telling you guys, there's no the Hawks are an awful team. They had John Collins out for probably a third of the season with the reduced number of games this year. I don't know. I mean, we could probably move on, I guess, but I think it's absolutely absurd that Chris Paul gets put above Trae Young. I mean, 12 points a game. Like I can't wrap my head over that. That is a massive difference.
That's all.
If defense wins games, then why don't we put Rudy Gobert on the first team All-NBA? I don't know. I mean, defense isn't everything. It's a factor, absolutely. That's why we have All-NBA defensive teams. For their individual performance throughout the year, Trae Young had a better performance.
We covered this before.
Can we move on?
Because we're not going to side with you here.
I just think it's outrageous.
I think it's outrageous to put him in there because he's All right.
I would put Brad Beal in over Trae Young. Just saying, if you're using that logic, David.
You would put who? Say that again.
Brad Beal.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal's on my third team.
Okay.
All right.
Trae Young's played better than Bradley Beal throughout the year.
At least you're consistent with your line of thinking. All right. So who do we want to put in? Do we want to put Chris Paul? Do we want to go?
No, it's got to be Chris Paul. We had two.
I mean, you both have Chris Paul, so you have to put him on there.
And then does that? And then we have Jokic, AD or not AD? Sorry,
it's Jokic, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, Damian Lillard,
and Chris Paul. Perfect. So let's move on to our third team.
Let's start off with the forwards. I'll name off my two forwards real quick. So I've got Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And then I have Jimmy Butler because I had Pascal on my second team.
So I also had Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I left off Pascal Siakam. I put Chris Middleton in over him. So that's the switch that we had, David. And I think Chris Middleton has been probably one of the best second fiddles this season. And obviously with Giannis's low amount of minutes played, Chris Middleton's getting, a little bit more responsibility and has been able to shine even more this season and has had a really good improvement with his game. And I think he really deserves some recognition. And, they have pretty similar cases with Pascal Siakam. I mean, they're both part of big pieces to a, very good, playoff contending team with a solid record and have been one of the key reasons because of that. And so I want to reward that. But for me, Pascal needs some of the help of Kyle Lowry. I've seen Pascal play a lot of games where he kind of doesn't show up, whereas Chris Middleton, I feel
needs the help of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
What?
I said where Chris Middleton needs the help of Giannis. Go ahead. I was making a lot of comments.
Chris Middleton is, on trajectory to be on 50, 40, 90, which is a very elite club and shows his, shooting and offensive prowess and what he can bring to, the Bucks. And if he's not there, I don't know if the Bucks are having, obviously they're having the same level of success, but I don't know if they're going to be able to be a championship contender without Chris Middleton in the mix.
So, in my opinion, I couldn't imagine having someone in the 50, 40, 90 club not on an all-NBA team. And I know it's only because he gets open when people double-team Giannis, but I'd have to pick Chris Middleton over Pascal Siakam. But it's close because Pascal, I would argue that Kyle Lowry does more for the Raptors than Pascal Siakam does. So for that reason, well, for other reasons, but also that I would pick Chris Middleton.
Okay, I'm gonna make the case real quick for Pascal. I'll keep it short. I just think Pascal deserves it over Chris Middleton. I think Kyle, as you guys said, like Kyle Lowry, very helpful for the Raptors. But I think Siakam is obviously their number one best player. I think he's carried that team throughout the year on the defensive end, especially, and set the tone for that team. I think you can't really argue that Pascal Siakam doesn't deserve the selection due to Kyle Lowry when Chris Middleton plays with Giannis. I think that's a bit of a double standard. And, I mean, I understand Chris Middleton's very close to that 50, 40, 90 club. That's an incredible achievement. I think Chris Middleton's a fantastic player. But throughout, I mean, as I kind of just said with the Trae Young argument, I just think consistently throughout the season, I just think Pascal Siakam has had a better performance. I mean, it's seen throughout, he averages more than 3.5 points more game. It's like 2 or 3 more points per game than Chris Middleton. I just think Pascal Siakam deserves it more, especially with his defense as well. I think factoring that in when it's such a close sort of battle here between the two. I left Chris Middleton off slightly. I think he's a good pick. I just think, I don't know. I've never really seen Chris Middleton as an all-NBA player, in my opinion. To me, he's
I didn't either before this season.
He's an elite number 3 player, or an elite number 3 option on your team, a solid number 2. But to me, it's really hard to put someone on an all-NBA team if you're not the number 1 option on your team. I think there's exceptions to that, but it's really, really hard for me to put him on there when he's not the best player on his own team, whereas Pascal Siakam is. So that's kind of why I think Siakam kind of deserves it. So that's my case.
I will say I'm okay with putting Spicy P in on our third team if you are, Ben, because I did want to give put someone on the Raptors onto this list. And I think, Pascal Siakam has had an incredible leap, obviously, from last season to this season. And although, Middleton has, had his case in his own right, I mean, the Bucks already have Giannis on here. And that's, a huge driving force, obviously, for them. So I'd be okay, giving the Raptors a little love right here.
Yeah, I guess. It's just I had Kyle Lowry on my third team.
That'll be a fun argument, too.
Okay. So
here, we can hold off on that for now if we want.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move into the guards. We can hold off on that.
Wait, no, let's do centers.
You want to do centers next?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Ben.
Joel. I had Bam Adebayo, but since everything got moved back, there's no way I can argue Bam Adebayo had a better season than Joel Embiid. So, Joel.
Okay.
Yeah, I also had Joel Embiid, and Bam was also my favorite as well. So.
Okay. I had Bam for a slight reason. I'm perfectly okay with Joel Embiid. The only reason I left Embiid off is because, and I did the math for this, Embiid, and this calculated in for the shortened season. So for all the games played so far, he only played in 69% of the games. I think that's pretty sad that he basically missed out on 30% of the games. And that's kind of why I gave it to Bam, just because he played more games. He was so impactful on both ends of the court. I'm perfectly okay with Embiid. I think Embiid definitely had a better season. I think it's just a really big factor when you don't play almost a third of your games. That's a really big issue for me. So that's kind of why I edged out Bam there, but I'm cool with either way.
If you're comfortable, yeah, let's go ahead and put
I'm cool with Embiid. I just think it's for my list, it's hard. It was hard for me to put someone on there who did not play in a third of their games. So.
Hey, give that Jayhawk alumni some love now.
All right, and then let's go ahead and move into the guards.
All right.
Davis, rattle yours off real quick.
No, let's hear Ben's argument.
Hear Ben's?
He had Kyle Lowry, and I want to kind of go on that.
Okay, so I had Kyle Lowry, and then I had Russell Westbrook. because as streaky as Houston has been, they would not be nearly as good as they have been without Russell Westbrook, obviously. But Kyle Lowry, I would argue that Kyle Lowry is the driving force of that Toronto Raptors team. I mean, he's been there for however many years, and he, before, they were good before they got Kawhi. Not as good, of course, but I mean, and that is all credited to Kyle Lowry. So, and in this season specifically, all aspects of his game have been phenomenal. I mean, they haven't been so it hasn't been 30 points per game like Bradley Beal or anyone like that, but he has been very sound in all facets of the game. So that's why I would award him the third team.
Very nice. So I also have Russell Westbrook. So if you're okay with it, David,
I have Westbrook as well. So
okay, cool.
I'm perfect.
And then my other one, I have Ben Simmons. David, who'd you have? Did you also have Ben Simmons by chance?
No, I had Bradley Beal, but I had to drop Trae Young down because I think Trae Young had a better season than Bradley Beal. The reason why I left Ben Simmons off is because to me, Ben Simmons is going to be All-NBA. I think Ben Simmons deserves to be on the All-NBA team because of his defense, and to me, that's why we have the All-NBA defensive team. That's why I left him off.
That's part of the game, though, and what makes you a good basketball player. So, for me, when I think of, choosing players for this role, I view offense and defense 50-50 because pretty much half of the time, every possession, you're either on offense or defense, and it's a pretty good 50-50 split for the most part over, the season and whatnot. And so, I mean, both aspects are a huge part of the game in determining the outcome. And I think there's a lot that is not, able to be quantified, but, the eye test is a real thing, and Ben Simmons definitely brings it on the defensive side of everything. I mean, the metrics already, support, Ben Simmons is a great defender, but there's something that just extra energy and something special whenever he's, out there lighting it up. And is just a very versatile guard outside of his three-point shot.
He's not a guard.
One quick thing I want to say that you brought up, Davis. Okay, so one thing you said in particular was the eye test. And to me, the eye test has to do a lot with value and what that player brings that can't be quantified into numbers. And to me, that's one of the reasons why I have Bradley Beal and Trae Young on these lists and you guys don't. And it's because to me, All-NBA is a statistical award. I love watching players that bring value to their teams, and I feel like there's a lot of players in the league who don't get recognition because they may not put up monstrous numbers and big stat lines, but they still do a lot of the little things for their teams. I mean, a perfect example of that would be Marcus Smart. I just think to me, I think a lot of those players deserve that recognition, but the All-NBA team isn't the place to do that. To me, it's that player that put up those monstrous statistical numbers consistently all year long. That's why I have Bradley Beal here, but in this case, I think Trae Young deserves it just because, I mean, I don't know how you can not put someone on an All-NBA team that averaged 29.5 points per game and 9 assists. I think that's just insane to me. I think he absolutely deserves to be on this list, but I already said that whole argument, so.
Well, what are we thinking here? I'm okay with taking Kyle Lowry off the table.
I'm okay with that.
What about Ben? So it's between at this point.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess it'd be between Ben Simmons and Trae Young. I think Trae Young deserves it more, but that's just me.
Ben, I don't know about you, but I would take Bradley Beal.
I was going to say I'd take Bradley Beal over both of those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay with putting Bradley Beal just because I have him on my third NBA team. I just think Trae Young better throughout the year.
We know.
People sleep on him. People sleep on Trae.
You're the only one not sleeping on him, I suppose.
Evidently.
All right,
so are we going Bradley Beal here then?
I think we should do Bradley Beal.
Yeah, that seems like a compromise.
He actually averaged 30 points.
Yeah, no kidding.
A game, and put a back-to-back 50-pointers. He got snubbed for the All-Star game. He should not get snubbed for the All-NBA team.
Exactly. I have a random trivia question for you guys
Okay.
on the All-NBA topic. So, in the last 5 seasons, how many times do you think Kevin Durant has been a first team All NBA player?
In the last 5 years.
Correct.
First team?
Yeah.
4.
I was going to say 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 5, though.
1.
What?
No way.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You usually
even if he's on the Warriors.
You usually have LeBron or recently Giannis in there for a forward, and then Paul George, Anthony Davis,
Paul George over KD,
and Kawhi have all snuck in their fair share as well. And KD will still get second team or third team when he's healthy on all those other ones. I just saw that when I was going through today, and I thought that was very shocking.
That's crazy.
Especially since he's an MVP player. Like, wow.
That's crazy. One last thing. Who did we end up deciding as that last forward slot?
I think we should go with Spicy P.
For forward? Okay.
So we have Jason Tatum and Pascal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Davis, do you want to rattle off our entire list to wrap up the episode?
Sure. We have our temporary producer, JT, with us here, and he's going to give us the update on what we have came up with here at Rally Sports for all NBA teams.
It's not Rally Sports, it's Junkie Sports, but it's okay. JT, go ahead.
Might be.
Imbecile Davis. All right, first team.
Shut the fuck up, JT.
First team, we got at the forward positions, Giannis and LeBron.
Easy.
At the center, we decided on Anthony Davis. And the 2 guards are Doncic and James Harden.
Yep.
All right, moving into second team, we've got Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler at the forward, Jokic at the center, and CP3 and Lillard at the guards.
Poor Trae Young.
Yep.
And then, yes.
He'll have his time.
And then third team, we've got Jason Tatum and – was it Chris Middleton or Spicy P? Spicy P?
Spicy P, yep.
Spicy P.
All right, respect. All right, Jason Tatum and Spicy P. At the center position, we got Joel Embiid. And then our guards are Westbrook and Bradley Beal.
I like it. That's a good list, guys.
That's a solid.
That's a good list.
I'd say that's pretty good.
We'll have to see how all that matches up once those awards come out. I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we need to make sure to keep that somewhere safe.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to pull it out whenever and release it and kind of maybe we'll have to bring it up in an episode just to kind of discuss and see how our guests went. So,
yep.
Well, all right. Well, that kind of wraps up the episode for today. By the time you guys are all hearing this, the NBA will be in its full restart tomorrow. So we are looking forward to that, and keep following us on social media as we continue to provide you guys NBA content. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.